Welcome to Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversation that includes respect for opinions, facts, and diversity. Spokane Talks is brought to you in part by McNeese Wheeler Attorneys and Rana Paint.
Welcome to Spokane Talks. I'm Ryan McNeese, and on tonight's episode on Better Health, we'll be discussing chronic pain, followed by Youth Spotlight and Lydia Barnett discussing her travels from Spokane to Morocco and back. Then, intellectual freedom, Library Out Loud, and how that affects readers and libraries, followed by a brand new comedian.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rana Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rana Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
Welcome to Better Health, and my guest is Jim Adcock from Southside Wellness. Welcome, Jim. I know you're a massage therapist, but you were here to talk a little bit about acute pain versus chronic pain, and then some new and emerging therapies. So let's hear about what the difference is between the two types of pain.
Okay. Hi, Sue. Yeah, thanks for having me on today. As a massage therapist, people with different kind of pain come in. And so you kind of separate pain into two different categories: acute pain and chronic pain. And acute pain is simply, by definition, it's a pain that lasts 3 months or less. You get appropriate treatment for it or appropriate rest, and the body heals itself, and you're good to go. So acute pain is typically a soft tissue injury where maybe muscles have been damaged, maybe some tendons and stuff, and that responds really well to many type of forms of body work, and that usually resolves quite well for people. The kind of pain that frustrates a lot of therapists, when I talk to a lot of other therapists that I know, is people that come in with the chronic pain. Those people that have tried many different kinds of therapies, many different therapists within those modalities, and they're just not getting any long-term relief from their chronic pain. They might get relief for very short periods, but it always comes back. And sometimes it even comes back worse than it did before. And so chronic pain is really something that can be really frustrating for the therapist and for the patient as well, because it costs them a lot of money. Last year alone, I believe in the U.S. we spent over $600 billion in people
on money trying to find relief.
Yeah, and like $60 billion in lost production, $60 billion to companies and stuff with sick leave and missed work. So it's a huge problem, and chronic pain can lead to depression, drug addiction, alcoholism, things like that, because living with chronic pain is just can be really debilitating.
Yeah, I know it's one of the things that has been at the core of the opioid epidemic, was people looking for that kind of relief and maybe not finding it. But it drove you to look for some new therapies. I know that's something that we'll talk about after we come into the break. But when you had your patients coming in and they were looking for that relief, well, we'll come back to that. We'll go ahead and take a break here, and we'll come back to that after this to that thought after this break for our sponsors.
The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. McNeese Wheeler is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeese Wheeler, attorneys.
Okay, back with Jim Adcock. So, massage therapist, frustrated by chronic pain patients and wanting to seek relief for his patients. You went seeking some new therapies, and what did you find?
Well, I've always had an interest in chronic pain. And part of that was from my dealing with chronic pain over the years. And that some of the techniques I was finding and using weren't working. And I knew it was always related to the brain and nervous system. And neuroscience shows us that pain is an event that happens in the brain and is controlled by the brain. You can have back pain, and that pain is very real, but it's not necessarily that the pain's coming from your back. It's that the brain is sending a protective pain signal down into your back to protect it, to keep you from injuring it more, things like that. And I stumbled onto a therapy called Old Pain to Go, which uses that same concept of neuroscience, that chronic pain is being controlled and initiated by the brain, and that it's sending that, it's like a smoke alarm that's always going off. But once the initial injury has happened and the person's had therapy, that pain signal shouldn't constantly always be going off in the body. And that's what happens with a lot of chronic pain people, is there's that constant chronic pain signal that's always being fed from the brain down through the nervous system. And what Old Pain to Go does is it's a therapy where we communicate with the unconscious part of the brain, that part of our brain that controls, it tells us when we're thirsty, when we're hungry, when we need to get some rest. And it's just simply a matter of showing that unconscious part of our brain that, at some time that pain was necessary to help us and protect us. But now we realize that we don't need that pain signal all the time. And once the unconscious mind understands that, it just many times will just turn that pain completely off.
So it's a way of rewiring the smoke alarm so it doesn't go off every time you're cooking dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jim. I'm so glad you could join us. And Jim Adcock from Southside Wellness, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Brady Magruder sits down with Lydia Barnett, who's traveled from Morocco to Spokane. View Spotlight next.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Youth Spotlight. I'm Brady Magruder, your host, and today we have an amazing person, Lydia Barnett. Welcome to the show. Congratulations for being here. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
So I'm 17. I've lived in Morocco for 7 years. I just moved back to America when I was 15. Something that's really important to me is my faith. I grew up in a Christian household, so yeah.
That's awesome. And so you are the first person that I've ever met that has lived in Morocco and is now in America. I think that's really, really incredible and really unique. And so you've had a lot of cool experiences at Morocco. Because I've never been. Why don't you tell me what it was like for you?
So I went to an American school, but so it was taught in English, but I was taught Arabic and French. That was really cool. And then something that I loved about living there was it was really cheap to travel to Europe. So I got to travel to Italy, Portugal, Spain, like all these different places for super cheap. So that was really cool.
Right, because they're like right next door.
Yeah.
Yeah, being a like kind of a history buff, I've always wanted to travel and learn about more cultures, and so the culture for Morocco is also kind of a lot different than what you'd say America has too.
Yeah, so I lived in Fez, Morocco, which is the most traditional city in Morocco. So it's like very different, very like modest. So I had to like be careful on the streets and stuff, and like dress more modestly and everything. So that was kind of hard, but
Right.
yeah, I just gotta adapt to it.
And for sure. I mean, that's how it's got to be everywhere in the streets at night. Yeah. But now you're in America, and you've been here for about 2 years. And so, how would you say that your like experiences with your education, especially you're quite young throughout most of your education in Morocco, and how would you say that has been like how those compare to each other?
They're just really different. Like, they're both American like systems, but just like I guess the culture makes it different, and like all the students are Moroccan, and like I was like my family was like one of the only American families, so that was like different. And but so I felt like kind of like I guess alone in a way, but like I loved it because like there's like so much diversity too.
Right.
So I love that. And then here it's just different because like I don't know, it's so much bigger, like such a bigger school. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
cool too.
it's definitely a lot different here. So we're going to take a short break, and once we get back, we're going to be talking about how you've personally been able to deal with the transitioning between the two. And so thank you guys.
The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeese Wheeler Attorneys. McNeese Wheeler is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeese Wheeler Attorneys.
Hello, welcome back to Youth Spotlight. I'm here with Lydia Barnett, and so we just talked about your experiences in Morocco and coming to America, and so now I want to learn more about how you've personally been able to deal with a lot of the emotional ramifications of moving back and forth from country to country across the seas, and adjusting to the different social cultures of both.
So I definitely feel like the transitions like contributed to my anxiety a lot. So, but like I'm like I said, I've grown up in a Christian family, so my faith is like very important to me. So like I got on medication and everything, but the thing that most like helped me get over my anxiety was my faith. And so like I heard God tell me to like just let it go and like live your life because I'm missing out on so much. So,
Right,
yeah.
right. And so was there a specific moment or a specific memory for you that you can think of when that really changed for you and that clicked in your head? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just like sitting alone, looking out the view, and then just like listening to God, and I heard him tell me to just let it go and like don't let anxiety like win and don't let it control my life, because it really was, and it was hard, it sucked.
And it's great that you were able to use faith as a springboard into that, because I think that once people have a certain willpower and a motivation, and once they get a purpose in what they're doing and making the hard choice, especially with certain emotions and things that we can't control, I think it's great that we can be given a purpose, and a lot of times faith can be that purpose.
Yeah.
And that's a really, really great story for you. And so like if there were other people that you would talk to that are going through the same exact experiences as you, what would you be able to tell them from your own experiences?
I would say just don't let anxiety is like a monster. It's like a beast, and so when you're like giving in to like things like, for example, I wouldn't go to school sometimes because I'd just be so anxious. Like when you're giving into your anxiety, you're just feeding the beast. So just don't give in and like live your life. Like
yeah, live it. Don't feed the beast.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for sharing your story.
You.
All right, Youth Spotlight, thank you and have a great day.
Next up on Library Out Loud, intellectual freedom and how that affects readers and libraries.
The economy is getting stronger, banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782. Visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Hello and welcome to Library Out Loud. I'm Jane Baker, the Communication and Development Director for the Spokane County Library District. Joining me today are two of my esteemed colleagues. This is Sherry Boggs, who is the Youth Collection Development Librarian, apologies there, and Cheryl Zobel, who is the Adult Collection Development Librarian. Mouthful on your titles. And well, like I'm one to talk, but great jobs that you have doing a selection of materials for the library, the books and such. So it's more than books, which is a whole nother show. But today we're talking about the intellectual freedom. What is intellectual freedom?
Well, basically, it's the right of you, me, and everyone to have access to the ideas and entertainment that they want in whatever format they want. Books, DVDs, everything.
Any points of view?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And let me drop the official ALA definition.
Okay.
Intellectual freedom is the right of every individual to both seek and receive information from all points of view without restriction. It provides for free access to all expressions of ideas through which any and all sides of a question, cause, or movement may be explored.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at a couple of the key phrases there, all points of view, free access, all expressions of ideas, that can mean many different things. It goes beyond writing and reading. And any and all sides of a question, cause, or movement can be explored. So it basically is saying that folks have the right to read, watch, listen, discuss, create in the way that they wish to. So,
Freedom.
Yes.
So why is this important? I mean, I know why freedom is important to me. And is it the same? Why is this important?
It's important because we need to be able to. It's what's a better way? It's part of. It's guaranteed by the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
It is a basic right in a democratic society, and it's a core value both of the library profession and of many Americans. Basically, intellectual freedom allows us to make sure our society can continue to be free thinkers and create new things by accessing a diversity of ideas. So,
very important. It's what we're founded on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a big role in the jobs that you have at the library in selecting our materials and what the public and our customers get to see. We're going to talk more about that in just a moment, but we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back on Library Out Loud. Welcome back to Library Out Loud. I'm Jane Baker with the County Library District. Joining me are Sherry and Cheryl, who are the selectors. I'm shortening your titles here, selectors for the materials at the library. Sherry, we're talking about the role of intellectual freedom. How does that apply in your work as a selector at the library?
At the library, in terms of our collection, it really begins with the job that Cheryl and I do. It's about being proactive and making sure that the things that people are looking for are going to be on the shelves when they get there. We're what's called a popular materials library, and so it's kind of like a bookstore model. It's having the newest things, the things people are looking for, the ideas they're hungry for, and having multiple copies so people don't have to wait too long to access that.
There's always something new and fresh on the shelves at the library. The old books don't stay forever. Some of the classics do, but for the most part, there's always something new and fresh. So then, Cheryl, for listeners today, what is the big takeaway on intellectual freedom?
The big takeaway, I would say, is that we want to maintain a diversity of thought in our society, and the library provides a whole bunch of different materials, a wide variety of materials, perspectives, whether it's about politics or religion or cookbooks. We have a lot of different perspectives on different things. And so when you're shopping our shelves and happen to be walking through the library, take what you want, indulge, and check them out. If something is something you really don't like, or, just sort of maybe offends you, keep walking. There's going to be somebody in our community who's like, yay, we're so glad that this is on the shelf. So we can be really active in supporting intellectual freedom by choosing a variety of things, and you can be really active in intellectual freedom by allowing your neighbor to explore the ideas and have the curiosity to explore what they want. So.
That's great. You guys do an excellent job. There's a good variety. There's always a balanced viewpoint on our shelves and online, and it's a tough job, but thank you for doing it. Thank you for doing a great job at it.
Happy to do it.
And providing these great resource for the Spokane County at all of our libraries. So welcome back again next time. We'd love to have you in, and we'll talk some more.
Great.
For Library Out Loud, I'm Jane Baker. We'll see you next time.
Next up on Spokane Talks, actor, singer, and comedian Lauren Lacasse.
This is Spokane Talks with Lauren Lacasse coming right at you. So I've been meaning to say something. I have always had a fondness for building a house. Now, I know that's probably true of most people my age, considering the renter's market is basically broken, but that's beside the point. I'm talking metaphysical. I have spent hours thinking about it, and when I win my millions from the current lawsuit that I have against the ghost of John Candy over the fact that he never made Cool Runnings 2, the Chili Sprints, well, I'm going to put that plan into action. I have thought about it for years, and I think I finally know what I want to do. I want to find a place that's nice, that's serene, that's scenic, maybe like the middle of a cursed forest. Yeah. Oh, that would be nice. Sequestered away from everybody else, and I would just build a house, a typical house. Okay, more of a mansion, but a typical mansion. It's got all the basic stuff. It's got a roof. It's got a front door, a back door, a kitchen, a dining room, all of the classics that a good house needs, and at least 10 secret passageways. Oh, that would be lovely. And also one thing I forgot to mention, I would love to put a dishwasher in every room, because I do not understand why I should have to go all the way to the kitchen when I am done with my dishes. Why can't I just put them in the dishwasher that's in my bedroom and waste the effort of walking all the way down the stairs and all the way to the kitchen? Homeowners, take notice of this. I want you to take notes, okay? Okay, getting back on point, got a little distracted. I also would love to have just kind of a rustic feel to the place, animal pelts, we got wood floors, wooden fixtures, and a lot of booby traps. Oh, the old school classics. Oh, and then you know what? You know what would be really lovely after that, after all of that was done? What if I just abandon it? Out in the middle of the forest, just front door unlocked, wait for someone to find it. That would be just beautiful. Okay, if I'm being completely honest, I really just want to make a giant, really elaborate escape room. That would be just great. Let someone find it. There's a narrative going maybe about like an ancient werewolf curse or the collaboration of the Nazis and the aliens. That would be great. If I could just... Also, if there are any lawyers listening right now, please hit me up, actually, because I do want to discuss the legality of booby-trapping my own house. Now, I'm playing for keeps. I'm talking buzzsaws, bear traps, at least one pit with Fuji sticks at the bottom. That would be great. So if you could just, talk to me about whether or not it would be my fault or their fault, considering they didn't notice the traps. I'm pretty sure I can be acquitted, right?
Thanks for joining us this week on Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversations. Hope to see you next week.
Spokane Talks is about you. Give us your feedback and comments at info@SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Spokane Talks is brought to you in part by McNeese Wheeler Attorneys and Rada Paint. We'll be back next week with additional news, views, and conversations. Please join us. So long for now.